Welcome to Moments with Marianne. This is your host, Marianne Pastana. We're here today with special guest, Tisha Marie Cain, who's here to share with us her new book, Transcend, The Path to Limitless Expansion, a sacred initiation to rewire, rise, and remember who you really are. What if the only thing standing between you and the life you are meant to live is a subconscious belief you didn't even know you had? Today, we're diving deep in how transformational coach Tisha Marie Cain helps you uncover and rewrite those hidden beliefs, unlocking a life of true freedom and purpose. Tisha Marie Cain is a private counsel, breakthrough mindset coach, clinical hypnotherapist, and multiple #1 best-selling international author and artist who helps people rewire their subconscious, release emotional weight, and transform their relationship with money, power, and self-worth. She works with a wide range of clients, including Fortune 500 executives and visionary leaders, guiding them through deep mindset work, subconscious healing, and unapologetic self-liberation. After surviving domestic abuse and overcoming false charges that nearly cost her 14 years of freedom, she now helps others reclaim theirs with clarity, confidence, and courage. So welcome to the show, Tisha Marie Cain.
Thank you, Marianne. I'm so excited and blessed to be here. So thank you so much.
Oh my goodness, what an honor it is to have you here and to talk about this book. I have to tell you, once I picked this book up, I've probably read this book like 5 times. It's such a great read. Why don't you share a little bit of what inspired you to write this book?
Yes. Wow. I'm glad you read it 5 times. And that's why I set out to do like a quick read. We're really busy in trying times. So if I could get in and do a 45-minute quick read and you can get all the beautiful nuggets and go on with your life, that's exactly what I wanted to happen. So thank you for solidifying my purpose in this and what I wanted to happen, because that's exactly what happened. What inspired me the most is I saw a pattern. So I work with one-on-one clients, and I saw a pattern with so many high achieving, deeply spiritual women. And they read books and they did the seminars and they did all the things. And there was still something inside of them that they felt stuck. And I knew why. They hadn't been taught about the subconscious work like I had, or they hadn't embodied their truth fully, and their nervous system was out of alignment. So this book was and is offering from my heart for these women. And it's a sacred invitation back to their own power, back to their purpose, and back to their own truth.
Oh my gosh, I love that. How empowering is that? And I know that you work with like Fortune 500 leaders and men and women. Can you share a key insight on the Transcend method that you typically don't share, but I'd love for you just to share a little bit with us?
Sure. You don't need to become someone new. And that's the misnomer, is they think they have to go and recreate their whole entire life, and you don't. You just need to remember who you were before they told you who to be. So we go deep. We go deep into reprogramming the subconscious mind by doing like deep creative healing, energetic alignment, identity evolution. So you don't have to become someone new. It's not about just mindset alone. It's about a full embodied experience that the Transcend method offers.
Well, we are so lucky that you're here to share with us today. I said earlier, I mentioned that you have these Fortune 500 executives, top executives, and leaders that you consult with, and you use this method to radically grow not just themselves, but their business. So, what does the Transcend method coaching look like, especially at that level?
Absolutely. At that level, we're just not talking strategy, right? So top executives, top leaders, they know about strategy. With this Transcend method, we're talking about remapping the identity. And the way that we do that is we go in and we look at the unhealed beliefs that they had been running. And when I uncover their unhealed beliefs, we typically see how their business reflects that through whatever, like burnout or misalignment or capped growth. So, through this one on one immersion sessions with me, we recalibrate their subconscious and expand on their energetic capacity to hold for more. And when they do that, they shift their whole entire life and their business.
Wow, that's just so impressive. So, does the Transcend method work for everyone, regardless where they are on their journey?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And the reason why it does is because truth is universal. And I talk about this in my other books too, is having your own truth. You can be at rock bottom or scaling to seven figures, bigger than that, and still benefit from this type of work. It meets you where you are and it invites you into your next evolution. That's what Transcend does.
So, you describe this book as a sacred initiation. What does that mean?
It means this book isn't just for reading, it's a remembering. I call you back home. And that's what I do in my coaching is walk you back home. It's an energetic shift. It's a ritual per se, a reclamation, a reclaiming of your life. When a woman says to me like, "Yes, I want this work," she begins to clear not only her blocks, but the patterns passed down to her from her ancestral generations of trauma. And this book is an initiation back into her own truth and back into her own power. It's a full spectrum of expression and creativity that we can expand on together.
That is just so empowering. There are so many people that are probably thinking, okay, so I've attended all the seminars, I've read all the books, and I'm still feeling stuck. How can this book help people unlock what's been missing?
Right. And I write about this because I was one of those women, right? Because the book just doesn't speak about the mind. It speaks about your subconscious, your body, and your soul, all three. And that's where the real change happens, I believe. Not at the surface. I'm done with all the surface stuff. I love to go deep at as a coach, but in the stories and the beliefs that you were running in the background, if we could get to the subconscious, that's where the work really happens. And that's why this works.
Well, especially when we're digging into those subconscious beliefs. And it has me kind of thinking, so what sets the Transcend method apart, especially as a catalyst for deep and lasting transformation?
Good question. I think what sets this method apart is that it's holistic, it's fully embodied, and it's a deep integrative process. We blend subconscious programming, somatic practices, creative expression, and we do an identity shift in a safe place in a guided space that the change, and I don't like temporary change. I'm here to get change on the cellular level that it sticks. So you can bring this back to your life and back to your business and continue moving forward in the trajectory of your life.
So, I love stories. I think it's so powerful when we can share stories about people who have had such profound transformations, especially with the people you've worked with. So, can you share a story of someone who's experienced a breakthrough using the Transcend method?
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, I have. I think I have more stories than the Bible concordance will allow, right? So, one client that sticks out is one of my clients. She was a wildly successful woman, and she had a wildly successful brand. But behind the scenes, she was deeply disconnected from her business, from herself, and she was exhausted. And so what we did is we used the Transcend method and we uncovered the old beliefs, the old programming that was rooted in her childhood that her worth was tied to the performance. And that's why she felt like she always had to hustle for her worth, because it was tied to her childhood and having to be outperform people. So what we did with this method is we cleared it. We rewired her nervous system, realigned her business with her truth, and she connected into her business in a way that felt like she was the co-creator with God. She was thriving. And after this, she started working less and she started earning more, and she felt free for the first time in her life, and she was already wildly successful. So to go back and connect in with her business into her truth was profound for her and for me. I love success stories.
And she must have just had such just a profound shift with that, spending that time with you.
Yeah, and she didn't realize it was so simple. But she, they say in the coaching space that you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. And so that's why it's important to invest in ourselves through someone else, because as I took her through this method, we were able to rewire what those outdated old belief systems were that were rooted in her childhood and really just point her in the right direction. It was so profound.
In your experience, how do subconscious beliefs shape our everyday reality without us even knowing?
Good one. Huh. Okay, so I believe the subconscious runs 90% of our life. So even if you're conscious and you're saying to yourself, I want more success, if your subconscious belief doesn't feel safe or seen, then you're going to still be struggling. You are unconsciously sabotaging that I want more success with your subconscious. So this is why mindset alone isn't enough. We have to recode the root programming at the subconscious level.
Well, earlier you mentioned that this is a very simple process, and I think so many people expect for profound change to be something that is extremely difficult. Is that something you're seeing?
Well, when they come to me at this level, they are ready for change. They have drawn a line in the sand and they say, "You know what? This is where I need to take back my life and I don't have a line of sight to do that." And so when they come to me, I just give them a roadmap to success. And they seem to believe that it's a lot easier than they once thought in the past.
So, what are some signs that somebody may be living from old and limiting beliefs? Because a lot of times, like you're saying, if we're in the picture, we can't see what's happening. So, how can they first visualize it and understand it's there, and then make changes?
Yeah, and it's going back to the body. The body never lies. If you're feeling burnout, if you're feeling like chronic self-doubt, if you're feeling stuck despite taking the action, or if you shrink in rooms that you're meant to shine, these are all signs. And you need awareness and you need a safe place to be able to explore these. And my method goes beneath that surface. And so if you're seeing signs like this where you're tired all the time, you're burnout, you don't have the fire, you don't have the passion, then you're running old limiting beliefs that can be simply cleared in one session.
Okay, I'm sure a lot of people are raising their hand going, okay, I identify with that. I'm tired. I must have old beliefs happening here, you know?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. In your book, you speak about embodied truth. What is that? And why is this such a profound key to transformation?
Ooh, embodied truth. There's many books, Marianne, written about this because the body never lies. Like the body keeps the score. And when we live disconnected from our body, we perform rather than embody the truth. And when we live in truth in our body, this is why in the past I was really good at dissociating and getting outside of my body because it was too hard to live here. And once I brought my intellectual sense down into the core of myself and started speaking from an embodied place, I started showing up differently. I started leading differently. And honestly, I started loving differently. And that's when my whole life began to be magnetic to all the things that I desired to call in.
Well, your life is pretty magnetic, so it's working. That's all I gotta say.
Yes,
I
it is. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. So, and I know you're such a creative person as well, and yeah, I want to tap into why, when we are in the role of our creative expression or reconnecting with our inner child, what does that play in our healing and growth?
Whew. Right now, I had full body chills because it is a massive one. Your inner child holds your original essence, your creativity. It holds your voice and your joy. And I talk about this. Whatever you got in trouble for as a child is actually your superpower, right? So they were always like, Miss Tisha Marie Cain, you need to be quiet and sit down and be quiet. Well, that's actually my superpower. And reconnecting to that creativity, to that movement, that art, that creative expression through journaling. And I have a daily epic morning ritual that I do. I started to remember my magic. And that's what I help you do is remember your magic.
Well, I know you're a key figure in helping people reclaim their power, and you speak so boldly of this. So, what does that look like for someone when they're truly aligned?
Ooh. I think for me, reclaiming power means speaking truth, even when it's inconvenient for most. Trusting your intuition above all the noise. It gets really loud out here sometimes. And going back in, and I speak about this in my other books, The Remedy is Within, and no longer outsourcing your worth. It looks like also for me, softness and strength in one body. And it looks like being fully you, unapologetically, unapologetically.
What a beautiful place to live from, being able to be in this place where we can be our authentic selves.
Mm, it does.
Why do you think expansion can feel so intimidating, especially when it's something that a lot of us long for?
Hmm. I think it's because it's the death of our old identities, right? We get the loss of what is familiar. We get the loss of the comfort. We get the loss of who we thought we had to be. But here's what I know. On the other side of that discomfort is freedom. And this is what I teach is I walk the talk and I talk the walk. And I don't teach anything that I haven't embodied and walked through myself. And there's had to be the death of these old identities in me at such deepening level. And I've allowed it all so that I can propel myself to the next best level for me.
I'm sure for many people that still sounds a little scary. They're like, "Ooh, I don't know if I can do that, but I really want it."
Yeah. And I think fear is the only way through. Just go to the edge. Go to the edge. Everything sounds scary, but the reality is once I pressed up against fear, that's where things got to be exquisite.
You're just moving through those boundaries.
Hmm. Absolutely.
I know a lot of people have been in places where they feel like they've been betrayed, or they, like we talked earlier about burnout, or perhaps they're feeling like a really deep loss. So, how can they begin to rebuild trust in themselves after experiencing this?
Yeah, trust is important. Because I think in these trying times, there's been a big breach of trust. And I would say to all of the listeners out there, just start small. Set the bar so low. Self trust is built with being consistent and having a loving action. It doesn't have to be perfect. I always say your body is listening to everything. And every time that you honor your intuition and you set a boundary, and you show up for yourself, for your healing, you start to rebuild a bridge back to yourself. And start small. Just take small actions to set the bar so low and be very consistent in a loving way. And that's going to get you moving forward.
What's a small action that people can take that would start that process?
Yeah. So I talked about earlier, I have an epic morning routine, and I just committed to myself every morning at 5 a.m. I fill my cup first, and I start with a, three pages a morning and just journal it out and say, what do I want today to look like? How can I serve at a deeper level? How can I serve at a meaningful level? And I journal that out, and I start small with that journaling. And then that might give me an idea to say, okay, great. Now I've done this. Let's move over here, and I need to move my body. Let's do some, let's put on my hype song and dance it out. And then that might lead me to the next, okay, great. Let's have more creative expression. So each little segment of the process moves me along in my joy by just starting small. And I didn't realize that epic morning routine of just journaling would lead me all the way to the next best right action for me for that day.
It's interesting. I've actually started doing that after reading your book, Transcend, and just getting into this practice where I'm investing in myself. I mean, what
Mm,
a profound practice that is.
and I bet you feel, because I talk about this too, is once you fill your cup and your cup is totally full, you can start giving from your overflow. So you don't have that burnout. You don't have that exhaustion feeling. But when you're giving from an empty cup, it's exhausting. So I make sure every morning I start my day by giving to myself first. And when I do that, it seems like I elicit this energy from within that I didn't even know that I had because my cup is already runneth over.
Well, we've talked about this before. You're a force of nature. And in many ways, I can really see how people not only are just loving your book Transcend, but are gravitating to you for coaching and those one-on-one sessions because you are exuding this power, this personal power that you've developed. And I know people want to live in a place where they can really come and show up in their lives looking that way and feeling that way and being that way.
Absolutely. And I believe that everything external is a mirror of our internal state. So yesterday I had a coaching client, and what he brought into the room was I was like, "Okay, how is this me?" And so it's an internal state, and I look at all of that. And when I shift my energy and the patterns and my identity away from what I don't want to see into what I do want to see, my relationships, my business, my leadership, everything automatically evolves to match that next best version of myself by looking within.
Okay, so I want to touch on something you just mentioned because I know the Transcend method helps with the world of business and our careers, but relationships as well.
Absolutely. Relationships, I think the key thing is your relationship with self. And that seems to be the common denominator in my office right now is teaching people how to reconnect into the inner child and into their joy. And if they can elicit the joy from within, there's nothing external outside of us that we need. I don't need anything to fill my cup because I can do it on my own. And I think that's where, Marianne, my power lies today is I know, okay, if I need joy, if I need sweetness, if I need softness, I can grab that beautiful blanket. I could get it on my own, and there's nothing externally outside of me that I need. And this is what I teach.
So the Transcend method that would help in people supporting their inner world as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's more than um a short-term motivation. It's a soul level alignment. It's a soul level alignment internally. So it's calm and it's steady, but it's also expansive. And it doesn't need any of the hype or the vibe because it's rooted in your own truth.
I'd like for you to kind of touch in on the nuance of this. So you talked about short-term motivation and soul level alignment. So what's the difference between the two?
Short-term motivation is external. Soul level alignment is internal. So once I went back to the inner child and found out what brings me joy, art, drawing, painting, dancing, swimming, when I could live in that joy, that was my soul level alignment. And it wasn't just short-term motivation that I was just, like chocolate could be a short-term motivation, right? So sometimes I do go to chocolate, but I'm really looking at how could I create a launching pad for my life by aligning my life with my truth and my joy every single day.
So you mentioned inner child work, and I know a lot of people that have done that, but it seems that and correct me if I'm wrong here. It seems like I've heard people say, "Okay, well, do the inner child work and things will get better," but there doesn't seem to be a connection. And when we do the inner child work, like what comes next? How do we connect those dots?
I just say, keep doing the work. And every little breadcrumb leads to the next piece of bread. So if today your inner child, I used to play, and I still do, "The Eye of the Tiger" is my hype song. Every time I play that hype song, and it takes me back to the inner child, and then it lets me be in my authentic expression and in my joy, that it makes me think and remember, "Oh, okay, you guys wanna go get ice cream?" And then we go do ice cream. So that led me to another breadcrumb. That led me to another breadcrumb, just living in that joy from that inner self.
Is living in that moment. It could be like being out in nature.
Absolutely. Nature is very profound, and that's one of the homework things. As I say, go hug trees, and people think I'm kind of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, but have you ever hugged a tree? Have you ever connected in to something that's been here for thousands and thousands of years and thanked the tree for the oxygen that it provides, and hugged it in a way that you're just so grateful when you walk away? Whew, you are grounded and you are anchored. And it was so simple.
So we've been talking about grounding. So how can we stay grounded while continuing to grow spiritually? Because I know sometimes we can get a little off balance there.
Yeah. I think staying grounded in your truth and whatever that truth is. I do a meditative practice where I allow like the bottom of my soles of my feet to ground into the earth, taking off of your shoes, walking in grass, and ground into the center of the earth. And this could take, Marianne, this could take 3 minutes. It's that simple. Take off your shoes, go walk in the grass, feel the roots of your feet grounding into the center of the earth, and just be in the present moment, eyes closed, fully present, fully tapped in. And you'll find just 3 minutes of that, you go, wow, that was simple and basic and everything that I needed.
There's so much research now that talks about the benefits of being out in nature and that how that grounding, what that really does for us energetically.
It does. And if you don't have the opportunity to get out in nature for inclement weather, there's also like grounding mats. I have one in the house, and this even helps with children who have extra energy. You plug in the grounding mat and you stand on that. And I thought it was weird at first, but once I did the research and put it into practice, this grounding mat really changed our family's life.
I love that. And something so simple because not all people are in areas where if you live in a big city, a concrete jungle, as they call it, often finding a tree is really tough. So having grounding in different ways, I mean, how profound is that?
Mhm. Yeah, I didn't believe it at first, but when the whole family started standing on this mat that we plugged into, one of those GFI plugs that had the grounding already through the energy, I was like, "Wow, there's something to this." Really feel unshakable, and there's so many other things out there at a holistic approach that we can use to help us live our best life.
So, what are some of the common spiritual myths or even perceptions that keep people stuck?
Mm. I think a big one is if it's meant to be, it will be. And that could be a bypass, a spiritual bypass. You are a co creator with God, whatever God means to you, universe, spirit. And you're not just a passive participant here. And once you realize and decide that you are co creating with the universe, the healing begins to be spiritual, and so does the action.
That's really good. So, people, if they're feeling that or experiencing that, they can say, hey, I need to look at this in a new way.
hmm I believe everything's mindset. How can we shift our mindset to look at it from a different perception? And I'll be the first to raise my hand. I was guilty. I had all of these old limiting beliefs, and the mindset was horrible. But when I began to shift out of that and look at it from a different perspective, my whole life started to change.
I know there's so many people when we start to grow and evolve, we're usually surrounded with people that are used to us being small. So, how can we give ourselves permission to evolve when our environment or peers pressure us to remain kind of where we're at that makes them feel comfortable?
Oh, yeah. I guess I had to remember that my evolution wasn't a betrayal. It was a returning. It was a walking myself back home. And you're not responsible for other people's comfort zones. You're not responsible for anything like that. You're only responsible for your truth. And when I started to evolve and really walk in my own truth, I started writing permission slips for everyone else to do the same. And that was what I heard was, "Wow, you're so much in your joy. If you are, can I be?" Absolutely. And it's not a betrayal of my family or anything in the past. It's a return to my essence of who I am at my core.
When you were growing and evolving, I know it's been a little while since that happened because you lead so many people now into getting to this place. But were there any folks that were like, "Well, I don't know." I mean, do we end up needing, like, new friends or redefining relationships?
Wow. One of the things I always say, Marianne, is I say sometimes it can get lonely here at the top because those who have served you in the past as you're evolving out of the old of identity of who you were and you're moving into the new identity of who you want to become actually is an essence of who you always have been. People, family, friends start to feel uncomfortable and they start to back away because they're not doing the work. And I like things on a quantum level. We can have this take 3 years or we can have it take 3 months. And I like the 3 day version because I'm here to make big impact. And I want to quantum leap to the next level. So I want to do this quickly. And some people are not there yet. They're comfortable with the old versions of themselves and comfortable with where they are. And that's fine. So people tend to fall away. And it's great because the moment I say it's lonely here at the top, I find someone else here at the top and I find a new high vibe tribe to hang out with. And it gets to be really good.
I love that because we're not really diminishing our light in order to keep other people happy. We're able to step into our own brilliance, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. And stepping into our own brilliance sometimes makes people uncomfortable. And so they fall away, and that's okay. And, just knowing, coming back to home, living in your truth, that your people are there for you. Their people are out there for you, and knowing that they are there, and you can just be rooted in that.
Well, there's this saying that sometimes people are with us for a season, which I think is a nice way of putting it because not all relationships have to be lifelong.
That's true. And I believe that people are here for a season or a lifetime. And I look back over my mentors and the people who have helped me get to where I am today, and I see why they were just there for a season. I went in and leveraged everything that they could give me, and then I evolved out of that and moved into something more expansive for me. And I realized why it was just a season. They weren't there for a lifetime.
What encouragement would you give someone who's feeling overwhelmed by the idea of this getting to a place where they can transcend and really have a deep transformation?
Yeah, I would go back to starting small. Set the bar so low that you're going to get success. So you don't need to fix like your whole entire life. You just need to meet yourself where you are. And I had that conversation today with another lady. She said that she's in the season of her life where her pace is slowing down and she wants to have a more slower life. And I said, that is perfect. Meet yourself where you are in this moment, because the healing is not a race. The healing is a sacred returning to your soul. And what's great about that, Marianne, is you don't have to do it alone. I'm here for you. It's so great.
Oh, I love that. It's always good to have somebody who's been there, done that, and got the bumper sticker.
Yes. I got several bumper stickers, and it's so great.
Oh my goodness. So I know you work with top leaders, entrepreneurs, just everybody. You meet people where they're at, which is one of the things that I really appreciate about the work that you do with the Transcend method. So where can people go to learn more about the work that you do, be part of your community, and sign up for a coaching session?
Absolutely. You can find me on all platforms, tishamariecain.com. You can start with my book, Transcend. It's the path to limitless expansion. You can find me on platforms like Amazon. And then after you read that, if you have a calling to go deeper, deeper still, I offer private one-on-one activation sessions. I offer full day immersions. And I even do transformational weekend sessions. And this is so profound. So I meet you where you are and where you need the highest level of coaching and impact. You can find me on Instagram, Tisha Marie Cain, YouTube, Facebook, all social medias. What I want your readers to know is that this isn't just coaching, it's a homecoming, it's soul work, it's deep level alignment to your truth. And I hope that you can feel my passion, because I'm here to help people here on this planet we call home just start living their best life. And now is the time to do this. Now is the time.
For companies that want to bring you in, because I know you've done this with many companies and groups, they want to bring you in to have you really kind of share how to transcend their group. Where did they go for that?
Absolutely. I'm currently doing this right now with a legacy company here in my county, and they could just go to my tishamariecain.com and set up a free discovery call. I would love to be able to talk to you and map out the trajectory of your business and we can run the values of the core people in your leadership cabinet, and really just take a deep dive of where you are and where you want to go in your company to help grow that and get massive visibility, massive expansion at all tiers of the business. So just go to my website and schedule that free discovery call. I would love to be able to talk to you and move the needle forward if that's what you'd like.
Well, Tisha Marie, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show with us here today.
Thank you, Marianne, for offering this platform for us I'm just so very, very blessed to be able to meet you and do this today. So thank you again.
Well, thank you, Tisha Marie. It's been such an honor to spend this time with you and to talk about your new best-selling book, Transcend: The Path to Limitless Expansion, a sacred initiation to rewire, rise, and remember who you really are. To schedule your private discovery call, make sure to visit tishamariecain.com. Well, we're at the end of our time today. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. You've been listening to Moments with Mary Ann, where we make every moment count.
In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Mary Ann is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Her guests are leaders in their fields, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, and business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in her own work, and while teaching others to develop, refocus, and grow, Mary Ann will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. You never know just which moment will change your life forever. Make sure to tune in and visit momentswithmaryann.com for more information.